Good morning from SMA 3 Kota Serang headquarters. It's good to be with you. I'm Iva Andhini, and for you today, 28th February 2022, we bring several pieces of information about today and during this week around the world and Indonesia. Heavy rain recently poured around Banten and seems to have affected Serang badly, with the city getting flooded all around the city due to the heavy rain and certain part of the city getting evacuated due to the heavy rain and flooding, including certain main huge housing where a majority of people in Serang living there are getting flooded and needing the people there to evacuate. Currently, it has been known that there are 393 victims with 4 people dead and 1 missing. It has been reported that the flood and heavy rain has gone over the main roads and stopped many people from getting to their destinations in the morning, whether it would be going to school or work. The flood happens to go up to 30 centimeters and some up to flooding the whole house. It has been reported that this is the worst flood Serang has ever experienced. One of the houses that got flooded was Widya Asri, which is one of the most crowded houses in Serang. It is also reported that the main road in front of Widya Asri is used by many citizens and seems to be flooded. It was recorded that it was raining heavily all night and didn't stop at it started flooding through the night. The rain stopped around early in the morning, around about 5 a.m. Now, with me, I have Sultan with me, with a victim of the flood. Over to you, Sultan.
Alright, thank you, Iva Andhini from the studio. I am currently at the site of where the flood recently occurred on Monday, 28th of February. It has been reported that there were 398 victims with 4 people who died and 1 lost. Hey, currently with me, I am speaking to one of the victims that happened to the flooding that happened last night. Thank you for lending your time for us and letting us talk about what just happened. Can you please introduce yourself?
It's my pleasure to be here. My name is Dzaky and I live in Widya Asri. My house was recently flooded.
First of all, I want to know your thought on the flood and your house getting flooded.
I didn't expect it to flood, and I don't remember the last time Widya Asri or even Serang experienced flooding this bad. But I didn't expect the rain to last overnight, with it constantly pouring down overnight and eventually flooding the house in Widya Asri.
Yes, indeed. Can you please explain to me where you were of how you reacted on your house flooding late at night?
The night before there were heavy rain, and I decided to ignore the fact that it always rained and never paid proper attention to it. I was in bed and I realized how loud the rain was and realized that there was water all over the floor. I was really shocked that there was water all everywhere, with the rain continue pouring all throughout the night. I woke up my partner and went around the house to unplug all the plugs that were still plugged and moved things that may get damaged or be dangerous, and closed all the places that the water may come in from. It was good that me and my partner were quick to think and move in to order from the flood to do any more damage to the house it had already done.
But how terrifying was it for you, with you being woken up late at night with your family and kid at home?
At first, the flood wasn't that high and only went up my ankle. But honestly, I was surprised the rain lasted that long, and I immediately thought of the people at home, and I had to check on them, made sure that they were safe. But the rain didn't stop either till early in the morning around 4 a.m. Luckily, at the time, police were out helping people.
Talk to us about your neighbor. How did they react to it at the time?
I felt bad for a friend or a neighbor of ours a few houses down the block, because he woke up, it was already up to his knee, and most of his furniture and belongings were nearly sunk in the water.
Okay, so how bad did it flood and when?
It wasn't bad when I got up, but it was quite relieving that I managed to secure my family's safety and other belongings, because eventually the flood became worse the later it got.
Okay, a few questions to go, but how did the police help you and your neighbor?
Early in the morning, around 3 a.m., the police arrived just when the water started to rise, and and help everyone evacuate the area as fast as possible to a safer place. They had boats and many police and firemen to help evacuate from the flood.
So would you say there were no police officers and firemen to help of were there anything they were lacking?
I would say they were pretty on point with most of the things except with getting to the place and helping people to evacuate the area earlier.
Have you heard of the gone to the evacuation camp?
I have been there, but I wasn't there for long and decided to come back to help. But there were tents up for people to rest and they had food and medicine.
Before we end it here, do you have any final message to say?
I would say to always be ready for things this. I would say to always be ready for things like this because we never know when things like this can happen.
Alright, I want to say thank you to Mr. Dzaky for helping us answer some questions. I hope things will soon get better and I hope the best for you and everyone's safety. That is all I have for now. My name is Sultan Rizieq, reporter from Serang, and back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Sultan, for that. And just in now that the information about the camps and the officers at the site. There were officers at the site and they got to the site really at 5 a.m. Just when the rain started to stop, although most of the citizens already managed to evacuate, but there were still people in their houses. They had ambulance and small boats to help injured people to get through the flood easier. They had camps around Serang where the flood was not as bad as certain areas, with it being a lot of huge tents around the camp for people to rest and some tents to treat people. There were lots of medicine and nurses helping the victims. They also had lots of food for the victims. There are reports that certain parts of the city were flooded due to the rivers overflowing and rising. Lots of police officers were also out of the road trying to navigate the heavy traffic the flood is causing due to people avoiding the flood and heading for the same road in order to get their destination.
Alright, thank you Iva Andhini from the studio. I am currently at the site where the flood recently occurred on Monday 28 February. It has been reported that there are people that could not get to their destination due to the flood not decreasing in the morning. Here currently with me, I am speaking to one of the victims that happened to not be able to get their kids to school there the flood. Thank you for leading your time for us and letting us to talk to you about what just happened. Can you please introduce yourself?
Thank you for having me. My name is Rama Dinantiar.
No problem. Can you please tell me where you were headed to?
I was heading to my son's school and was not able to get there in the time due to the rain and the flood.
And how long did you wait for the rain to stop?
The rain didn't stop, but it didn't decrease over time where I could go out with a raincoat.
What is flooding where you live?
It was, but it wasn't bad as around other areas. I was still able to get through the flood because it only went up to my ankle.
How did you rise to the flooding when you went to your son's school?
Although my son's school didn't flood and school went on, I couldn't get there because Widya Asri was flooded, so I couldn't get through.
So it was flooding and with Vidya Asri?
Yes, it was flooding all the way to the main road in front of Widya Asri.
So did you get your son to school?
I did get to my school, but I had to turn around and go another way, which was 15 minutes longer compared to going through Widya Asri.
But was it flooding to going that way and take about the right track?
It was flooding, but I was able to through the flood without the flood going over my motorbike. The traffic was had obviously due to everyone going that way because other roads were flooded.
Did your son get to school in time? How what is when you go to your son's school?
My son didn't get to school in time and was an hour and a half late, but when I go to the school, the gates were still wide open and there were so many parents with their kids who only just got to school just like us.
Were there police around the Dzaky helping?
Yes, there were.
Can you please tell me about it?
There were police around the city and helping the people. There were also some directing the traffic so it would increase the traffic.
Were there camps around the city for the people that the house got flooded?
Yes, there were so many people there. Some were injured and they had food and medicine.
Alaring, I want to say thank you, Mr. Rama, for helping us answer some question. I hope things will soon get better. I hope the best for you and everyone safely. This is all I have for now. My name is Nurfalida, reporting from Serang, and back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Nurfalida. That is all we have for today. And about the flood, we hope things to get better and hope the flood goes away. So we have 393 victims with 4 people dead and 1 missing. The heavy rain continued pouring overnight and flooding Serang, and the flood being 30 centimeter high and up to house in certain areas, with Widya Asri getting heavily flooded and the main road getting flooded as well. Many citizens were not able to get the place they needed. So it's all for now. My name is Iva Andhini Putri.